better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
It is 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to this edition of Business Watch, powered by Nedbank Eswatini. On the show today, we will delve into the South African elections with economist Sanele Sibiya. As South Africa heads to its 7th general elections today, the outcomes are anticipated to herald a new era for Eswatini, affecting, of course, various sectors of its economy. Sibiya will provide insights on how the shift in South Africa's political leadership might influence the competitiveness of Eswatini's products in the South African market and other markets, of course. In another segment, we'll be joined by our esteemed business journalist, Nelson Langamandla, to discuss the recently launched National Financial Inclusion Strategy. Private sector development expert Zizwe Vilane underscores the necessity for reform in small and medium enterprise laws to foster business growth, really. We will explore Vilane's perspective as well as reactions to the new strategy introduced by the Ministry of Finance. All of that later on the program today, so stay tuned for these topics and more on Business Watch. My name is Fiso Ngumalo. A very good afternoon to you again.
Good afternoon to you, viewers, and welcome to this week's episode of Nedbank Business Watch. My name is Lungile Makakula. Thank you for tuning in. While owning a car gives you a great sense of independence, it also comes with a big financial responsibility. What happens if you are involved in an accident or if your car breaks down or gets stolen? Vehicle insurance from Nedbank Eswatini can support you should any of these unfortunate events happen. Mcebo Masugu, insurance specialist at Nedbank, will answer these questions later on the program. We'll also go through today's financial segment with Treasury dealer Nozibusiso Otembe. For now, asibukena Didinzaba Business News. Welcome back. This is Nedbank Business Watch. For now, let's take a look at business news. The Minister for Finance, Honorable Anil Rakenbag, has called upon the African Development Bank Governor to unlock Africa's economic potential through strategic bank partnerships. The minister made his remarks during the ongoing African Development Bank annual meeting in Nairobi, Kenya.
The minister requested the African Development Bank team to conduct thorough diagnostics and research into the key bottlenecks preventing effective private sector funding. He proposed that the bank, well positioned with its expertise, assist by providing insights and solutions to these challenges. The minister also attended the Moody's rating agency's side meeting, where he said Africa has a lot of untapped sectors.
One of the main discussions, in fact, that has come from the governor's meeting now, I'll go back after the meeting again, and the main discussion there the whole day really is around how do we better rope in private sector financing into the bigger pool of our governments and into the main spend. The fact of the matter is we're not going to loan money. We're not going to loan enough money to get us out of it. Number one, there's not enough money to be able to spend on our continent. Our continent's got huge needs for spend when it comes to infrastructure and for all the other needs that we have. But at the same time, as a continent, we are sitting on massively valuable assets, just the value of our land, the value of minerals, the value of the assets we have as a continent. If we can use that in smart leverage and access private sector financing, there's obviously a huge amount of financing sitting on our continent, as well as funding looking for return in the world. And Africa is definitely the continent with a lot of youth, a lot of unused land. It's got a lot of the potential which the world needs to be able to get a return on the private sector capital sitting out there.
Furthermore, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Neil Rickenback, recommended that the bank team finalize a clear strategy of unlocking private sector finance, stating that the strategy should be presented to the board for approval and subsequently embedded into the bank's broader agenda. Honorable Neil Rickenback said by doing so, the bank can streamline efforts and focus resources in the most impactful areas, ensuring a more attractive investment climate. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Langamandla, visuals from the African Development Bank.
As South Africa heads to its 7th general elections today, the results are expected to mark a new dawn for Eswatini, impacting various sectors of its economy. Economist Sanele Sibiya suggests that the competitiveness of Eswatini's products in the South African market will be influenced by the shift in South Africa's political leadership.
The government of South Africa means that bilateral trade agreements and cross-border regulations for Eswatini will also change. Political analysts are predicting that the African National Congress will lose its majority for the first time since 1994. This then will mean they will need to form a coalition. The results of the elections in South Africa will have an impact on Eswatini. Eswatini's economy is linked to South Africa, firstly because the Lilangeni currency is linked to the rand. Certain political parties like the Economic Freedom Fighters are leaning towards nationalizing a lot of things in South Africa. So if the results of the elections lead to coalitions and if the rand is losing value, so will the Lilangeni. Eswatini imports about 70% of its energy from South Africa, with Eswatini's agreement coming to an end in 2025 and load shedding still a thorn in South Africa. A change in government means new agreements will have to be reached on this issue. Eswatini is also South Africa's major trading partner with over 60% imports. Just last year, Eswatini, according to the Eswatini Revenue Service, exported 67.4% of goods to South Africa, and with imports from South Africa standing at 81.1%. So the elections in South Africa will also shape the economic policy direction of Eswatini, even in trade. South Africa is one of the strongest economies in the SADC region, and whether the African National Congress wins the elections or not, Eswatini's economic direction will change. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
It's 7 minutes after 2, and that's it for our business news. Thank you for staying with us.
Yeah, we connect with Sanele Sibiya, our economist, after the break to look at the 7th general elections in South Africa. How do they impact Eswatini's economy, trade relations, all of that after the break.
Transact with Nedbank and stand a chance to win a 5,000 Emalangeni trolley dash. To qualify, do any of the following. Tap or swipe your Nedbank card for purchases a minimum number of 10 times in 2 weeks. Or send cash to any local cell phone number a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. Or withdraw cash using Nedbank Cashback at Till at any OK Foods outlet a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. It could be you, so start today. For more information, please visit nedbank.co.nz, call or send us an email. See money differently. Nedbank.
Girl, it's crazy how packed this place is during a live MTN Bushfire Festival.
Definitely. Live music, umswengo, cultural exchange, there's so much.
And the funny thing is, you see those ladies in the back?
Definitely.
Patsy and Bella.
Yeah.
You know, during a live Bushfire Festival, but now they seem so close.
They seem so close, but Bushfire kuba ngathi bakhashane kakhulu.
This is where it's going down. The belly of the beast and the heart of the fire.
And the beauty of it all is that we will be bringing you all the fire straight into your living room, as it happens the whole weekend.
live broadcast of the MTN Bushfire Festival live on Eswatini TV during these times.
So it's Friday from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m., Saturday from 3 p.m. till 5 p.m., and again from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m.
And then we wrap up the entire festival on a Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Are you ready to bring your fire?
Oh, but that's not all, isn't it, Bello?
Nope. This weekend, Eswatini will also be live from here.
Bushfire is back.
So make sure you tune in from the 31st of May to the 2nd of June, right here on Eswatini TV.
It's 10 minutes after 2. Very good afternoon again. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're still watching Business Watch powered by Nedbank Eswatini. We look at the 7th general elections currently undergoing in South Africa. A lot of developments that are really exciting there are happening. South Africans are really anxious today as to what is going to pertain when the results come out. Eswatini is equally anxious because we do have trade relations with South Africa. So we saw it fit to have a conversation with economist Sanele Sibiya, who joins us now virtually via a Zoom link. Mr. Sibiya, very good afternoon to you. Let's get into this really interesting development happening in South Africa. How do you see, or rather foresee, the results of South Africa's 7th general elections impacting Eswatini's economy, particularly in terms of trade relations between these two countries?
Thank you, Mr. Nwala, and good afternoon to you too and the viewer as well. So when we are looking at the election, for the first time in history, the polls are predicting that the ANC will get below a 50% majority, which is the 50+1 required to make a government, to form government. So this might likely cause for coalitions, but that is all this is right now. It's a poll, but we're yet to see how it turns out in reality. So there's the different scenarios where we have the ANC winning the election and things staying as they are. So that we are not seeing much of shifts if the very first scenario occurs. But if then there's a need for a coalition government, it would depend on who the kingmakers are, on who the ANC decides to eventually form a coalition with. And then one of the major risks that we are seeing would be if the EFF would be the one forming that coalition, purely because they have a stronger stance. Their economic direction is completely and entirely different from that of the ANC. It's just so juxtaposed. So what we would see there is the introduction of non-market friendly policies, such as your private nationalization of mines. The issue of land would become a very robust issue that's going to be discussed robustly, and that would actually affect markets. Markets love friendly environments, so that would actually probably result to the rand tanking, and by extension the Langene would lose value as well, because it is highly linked to the South African economy. And that might actually be a situation where South Africa now begins to repel investments, which could be one of two ways for us. That means if we get to the coalition state, then that investment would then come into Eswatini. But like we are saying, it's just the way it is. We are not yet sure what would happen right now. And looking forward, chances are the ANC would still retain its majority, and we're not going to see much changes in policy. But there's quite a lot of myriad of ways in which you could see this policy. There could be an issue with the SACCO revenue sharing formula. It is always revised every now and again, and with a dominant or a less dominant ANC, the policy stance might change, and that might affect us negatively and immensely. And also, with an inward-looking or an insular economy in South Africa, that would mean probably would lose a bit of this export space. But that is all a contingent on the outcomes of the election, but it's a bit worrying and it's sending some uncertainty throughout the markets. The fact that for the first time in history, this might be a tectonic shift, just moving us from that one-party dominance dispensation to a multi-party or a shared arrangement type of coalition.
Absolutely. And, you look at the social media sentiment. I was just scrolling through X before the show started, and I'm seeing the excitement with, what the EFF is doing. Julius Malema just casted his vote, should be 45 minutes ago. The EFF looks to be really excited, but we don't know really if, what is pertaining on social media is exactly what is pertaining on the ground. We've seen, in yesteryears what the ANC has, done on the ground, which is obviously always different with what we see on social media. I like the fact that you are bringing some of, the things that the EFF is really passionate about with regards to land and, of course, mining. We hear Julius Malema speaks candidly about those issues. But, another issue there, if you read their manifesto, you and I will agree what, they speak about regarding border gates. They are, against the system of border gate lekhona lapha eAfrica. In fact, bafuna angabi khona onke. And it makes me wonder, before I move into, the political leadership influence on competitiveness of Eswatini's products, that manifesto, EFF, like you have said, we don't know what is going to happen in Nakpima results. Should the EFF gain a bit of ground that makes them key policy makers or key decision makers, their manifesto, should it be implemented, what does that mean for Eswatini?
Thank you, Mumalo. So at this point, the way we see it, not the way the polls are seeing it, is the EFF will not have the majority, as it were, but they could be potential kingmakers in the room. So ever, let's say around 48, 30-something%, if there's no clear 50+1% winner, then they could potentially be kingmakers. They could potentially be the ones who form government. So with that, we do not see them having much of a say, more especially in terms of the extreme ones, the extreme policies such as the borderless Africa, which would actually facilitate a lot of trade. It's a common secret that, in Africa, it's really difficult to travel within Africa than is actually to travel from any country in Africa to the US or to Europe for that matter. So that actually inhibits trade and it affects trade. So it does have a lot of economic benefits to actually have a borderless Africa. It would improve an insula and it would improve regional economic integration. And that in a way would shift us towards being a more unified economy and a more competitive economy, because together we might be a bit competitive compared to when countries are trading individually, Mr. Newman.
Okay, so the EFF, getting that seat and making those decisions that you say they might make, you do foresee them making some really important decisions with regards to trade, Mr. Spear?
Obviously and evidently, they would actually have that impact, because if you do follow what Julius Malema has been vocal about, he's come out to say that if we do indeed find ourselves in a situation of having to form a coalition, then we do not want just those useless seats. He is actually gunning for that finance seat should he win. So, it's going to be quite interesting for the macroeconomy. And, it's actually going to be interesting for quite a number of trade dynamics. Furthermore, we have, the issue of load shedding. That's one of the issues that Eswatini is dealing with, South Africa is dealing with. And that's one of the issues that will determine whether the ANC retains power or not. We know we have a contract that expires in next year. So, there's a lot of those dynamics that as a country, we should really just pray for the ANC to win at the current moment until we have a bit of stability in terms of our energy sector and, we've diversified the economy a bit.
Okay, then given the potential political changes, all of the ones that you are mentioning and perhaps others that we haven't mentioned yet, what strategies would you suggest that Eswatini businesses should adopt to maintain or improve their market position? I'm not sure if I've lost you or I haven't. have I lost Mr. Sibiya? Looks like I certainly have lost Mr. Sibiya, but we were discussing what it means really, the general elections that are currently taking place in South Africa, what the results will mean for the economy of Eswatini. Mr. Sibiya was just citing the agreements that we have with South Africa with regards to our energy sector and their energy sector, the load shedding happening in South Africa, and obviously the transition that Eswatini is looking to make. We just recently saw the energy indaba, and all those developments that were discussed there will be quite critical to discuss after the results officially come out in South Africa. But we'll be on the lookout, and I'm sure Eswatini TV will give you some of those developments happening in South Africa a bit later today. For now, let's go for a net break. We continue with the program after the break.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
All right, so welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. As mentioned earlier, Sikhulumisana Namcebo Masuku, who's an insurance specialist at Nedbank. Last week, besikhuluma kabanti property insurance. It was a clip that we replayed from the first interview of the first episode of this program. Namhlanje sibuke car insurance. But what is car insurance? Who is covered? And how much does it cost? Mcebo, very warm welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Thank you so much. I think the topic because I'm interested on car insurance, and I hope our viewers as well now are interested on car insurance. But what is car insurance? Who is covered actually?
Yes, thank you, Lulu. Afternoon to the viewers. I think as we spoke last week, insurance is a protector. Should any unforeseen event happen to your property. In this case today, is imoto. Imoto is we drive every day, go to work, go to our various places. Kunema accident nje. So insurance, that's where it comes in. Ngekusita kulungisela leyo moto, nekubambisa nje throughout the process. Isilibhange siyakhona ukusita. Kukwendisa ama claims nekusita kuthola leyo cover yethu.
So,
yes.
Because we know there are natural disasters, there are accidents, am I covered?
Yes, there is multiple things, but in terms of natural disasters, I cover a corner. Hailstorm yakhaveka amabe nje sangodo sikakuthola ulange phandle insurance itakusita ukuthi ulungise imoto yakho. And then also bo collision shayisa tinkomo seniyashayisana emgaqweni bo overturning bo attempted theft sebazama kwendela ikwebela imoto yakho noma bayakuhijacka yalimala leyo moto yakhona ukukusita ka insurance yakho.
Yeah, because we're human, and sinemacebo sebantu, you know, lomunye mhlambe angastage hijacking, theft, etc. Does the bank do thorough investigations kubuka ukuthi vele lokho kwendeke vele it's not because it was planned but kutendekele vele?
Yes, so kuma claims sing Nedbank kona si corporate agent siyawasita ama clients atoba advisor but lokumcoka ke vele insurance fraud into labayibukako akufuneki nje vele kutholakale ukuthi naku ustajile wena i-accident. But-ke siyasitwa amaphoyisa ngoba siyayifuna i-police report eqhamuke emaphoyiseni latawa-investigator lokuthi kwendekeni. Ungabe kukhona lokusolisako ne-insurer ingafuna ukwenza more investigations on their end. Na-assessor ukhona kubuka ukuthi vele le damage bekungeyombamba yini. Because kufuneke kubukeke ukuthi okay le damage ngiyo and itawulungiseka kanjani ngibakhothe kahle indaba akhothele ukuthi batakulungisela so lapho sobethe ngema-loss adjusters but bayakhona nekubuka ukuthi ngabe le damage yanyalo noma sikhuluma nge-damage leyindeke 5 years ago. So siyacela nje maswati ukuthi avoid kufake ama-claims whereby vele it's fraudulent. Labo futhi ukucala lelikhulu ungaboshwa ngisho neboshwa.
So have you had lama cases law?
Luckily not, but-ke vele we talk to our clients ukuthi to avoid such. Ufake nje claim ngoba nawo accident endekile.
So there's this perception imcebo ukuthi insurance idulile. The moment you bring up insurance, kuba mbathi hayi ngeke la ngaloko insurance companies or ababhadalani nana blah blah blah.
Yes.
How much does it cost? What are the premiums?
Yes, insurance make a standard pricing when it comes to your car insurance. My insurers ayabuka different factors, meaning ngokuqala nje batabuka imoto yakho ukuthi ivelo ithini. Obvious masetulu premium yakho itaba ngetulu. And also babuke nale moto ukuthi inzala kangakanani, babuke nawo lo shayelako lo mnikado policy ukuthi yena ungakanani i-experience lana yomgaqweni. So the license will also determine ukuthi lo muntu wayithola nini and have they been consistently on the road. And then also ne-claims experience ukuthi ama-accidents la ngaphandle abengakanani. So naloko kutawubuka-ke ukuthi premium yakho itawuhamba ifike. But nonetheless, kunema-discounts lo watfolako lakini. So nje thina corporate agent with SRIC bayasipha ema-discounts for being a member of SwaziMed, for example. Uyakhona kuthola i-discounts lapho. And also mawuthenga imoto yakho ka-NTT ka-Toyota locally uyakhona kuthola i-discount. Also mawufake i-tracker emotweni yakho kuba ne-discount khona lapho ekhaya.
So lo sho ukuthi mhlambe nangidriver imoto yami yakade ngibekise imoto ya 2005 2000 so liyahamba kahle emgwaqweni but vele inathi lethi ngiyangeleto. Am I still eligible to apply for car insurance?
Yes, you are eligible, but what we always advise is to make sure that it's in good driving condition imoto yakho. Ungazokhava imoto ehleli phansi noma lelimele ngoba mangabe bekuvele kunenkinga kule moto yashayisa asesamase kayibuka tawukhanza ukuthi le nkinga bevele ikhona therefore ba reject the-claim yakho. So just make sure ukuthi imoto yakho is in good working condition, ibe ngesimeni lesiphilako ukuba kusemgaqweni. Otherwise uma ngabe iphethe kahle imoto yakho itawushayela for quite some time. But-ke akusho ukuthi ngoba seyinzala sekutawendeka ini. There are multiple factors. Nami nje nese ngikutshela enyalo ukuthi angidakucharge imali engaka no kufuneke basibalele babuye basitshele. So I always say ukuthi asikhothe kuqala and then we can talk.
So the older the car, the more money I pay.
I don't want to say that.
So that's not the case.
I don't want to say that, but again, yes, but awubuka lokuthi masokuhlanganisa onke lama factors lawo itawubuya ibuye ithini. Yes, because angifuni emaswati abanale ingqondo ukuthi hayi imoto yami inzala isho tangidulela ngcono ngingenti lutho. Uyabo, I always advise ukuthi asikhotheni sibone, uyabona. Because you could find yourself ukuthi sokubhadala imali encane. Because ungabhadala monthly, ungabhadala in quarters, ungabhadala the full year. So kuyashiyana. Well, asikhulumisane sibone ukuthi umenjani ne-premium ukuthi ithini.
Okay, let's talk about the process yego claim because we hear a lot of people bahlala complain ukuthi demotak insurance nje always take time. Now ikhokha le mali it's easy but nasekumele iphume kuwe blah 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 kuba kuningi lema procedures gcwalisa amaform. I-process yena eNedbank Eswatini how unique ngani yile dzingekako ukuthi isikhathi esinganani ukuthi umvu iclaim yakhe ibe successful.
Yes, so ema-claims sawasitha ke ama-clients ethu ema-branch akhona all over the country. You can come in sikubambise. I always say nje uma une-accident, first things first kosithathele ama-pictures. Uthatha ama-pictures ala incident yonke. Ushayele emaphoyisa awatise nawo atokhipha i-report yakhe. ngabe kukhona umhlambeka kucala badambeka mabe kukhona lo mshayisile so kufika idemand ukuthi kufuna umlungisele asilungisele lo yedwa incwadi so ema claim documents ke ngicanga ukuthi mase kwendekile siyakukhulumisana but ke the typical ones ma quotations ifuna bank 3 kunema garage insurance lewa approvile ukuthi ungaya kuwo but there's quite a number of them ungaphika out of the 3 utasichusela inye lo prefera go wena ngoba labanye ungaya garage linye ukhanze ukuthi athi lona utangendela faster utangendela ngcono ngiprefera yena yes and then of course utasilethela ke ID yakho bo license bo blue book and so forth but in terms of labo turnaround time i-turnaround time lesikhathini lesiningi iyashiyana ngoba phela kutawudependa ukuthi igarage lime kanjani and also nalama parts aleyo moto ukuthi are they readily available because if they are not they will have to be ordered typically nje moto letisha dadzinga ukuthi kumiwe kancane so naloko kuyayenda lokuthi le process idelay kancane but throughout itsine sitawuthintsana nalabo insurance bethu sikubambise nawo engalana ukuthi sishaya le process all the way through.
Okay, so I wanted to ask ukuthi ingabe lana kule insurance niyayibuka imoto yami ukuthi is it an import noma mhlambe local kuyafanana yini mhlambe imali ngiyibhadala ukubuka le imoto letihlukene?
Yes, kuyahluka ke ema imports sivame ukucela ema valuation report meaning kufuneka uyevaluate leyo moto yakho kuphuma i-report letasitshela i-condition yayo and its actual value right now nabo depreciation value ngoba i-local ne-import ihluke ngoba ihluke kakhulu ngala kulama values especially at renewal ngoba at renewal kufuneka sibuke ukuthi le value yayo seyikuphi nyalo. The local cars which we typically call them uyakhona ukungena ku dealer's guide sikhona ukukhomba ukuthi oyati value yayo seyila which is the market value as we speak so sikhona loku adjust leyo sum short but kuma import asikhona ukuchecka kule dealer's guide so that's where the report will come through because the report itawusho even the depreciation ukuthi itawehla kangakanani typically leyo moto sikhona ke we depreciate and make sure ukuthi si cover at the correct value each time senda leyo cover.
So ngifuna ukubuza nje ngicebe ukuthi ingabe i-client yenu ni cover ikhona any limit ngibekise nje i-client yenu bane tingoti leti 3 probably in 6 months or 9 months is that client still eligible ukuthi end ama claims nikhona kumsita imbadalele lo insurance?
Yes, a good ke i-limit in terms of ama claims longawafaka as long as ama claims are valid insurer utawo processor and but nje kufuna ukunaka ukuthi at renewal ke bese baya nindani bayanyusa ama premiums ngoba phela clearly I risk yakho seya adjust ukuthi ya a bit higher risk kancane but awukavami lokugiva ngoba typically nale moto itawu depreciate so na level itawehla bese kuya balance out.
Okay, so in cases lapho khona you have an accident outside the country but within the SADC region, do you still cover?
Yes, typical policies that will cover around SADC by default, especially just kangwane siyathanda ke abo South Africa sivakashe. We do cover while you are in South Africa and we do offer some services nangale uma ungena into an accident. But nje sixwayiso ukuthi ngicela nabo labathanda travel outside of the country ukuthi bakufaka la tracker. It makes it easier to track the vehicle should something happen. Ngoba sathi ke South Africa nasazenda ayifani in terms of hijacking rate and so forth. So kuyasita lokuthi ube nayo le tracker and also insurance taku compensator ngikufunike the discount for that.
Yabo tsethe le tracker iyasita is mandatory noma nje iyakusita kakhulu if you've installed it?
Yeah, it's not necessarily mandatory but it is advisable. Because should something happen, bese wena abanye ama conditions la bese sayangena through if it happens in South Africa.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
So also I wanted to ask Guguti, as you said, Guguti niyakhona kusitana within the SADC region and of course la Eswatini. Inzabate kungtorisha towing, is it free noma nakhona kumele ngibhadale? Is it all catered for?
Yes, we do have both free towing locally even in South Africa. So we do cater for that. Because the whole point could see ungaqhubeki usafarisha while going through le loss nje accident. So we try to manage lokuthi uzame na ukusidakala in terms of getting the vehicle safe ku depot. So typically batayithowisha bayise ku depot yaleyo insurer. So nje ngithi ngoba insurer yethu nge-SRIC i-depot yabika Manzini. So batayibeka lapho whereby onke repairers will attend to it there in terms of quotations and so forth.
All right, so do you have any tips for our viewers, potential clients, labafuna, to register with your car insurance policy?
Yeah, I think the first thing I want to say, Kelani need more from my policies in, and ask as many questions as you can. Nifunze nema policy wordings because atabanala ma terms and conditions. Wathi ukuthi cover yakho ihamba ifike lana ukafike nako nanako. And also make sure ukuthi ama premiums akho they're up to date. Ngoba principal insurance ithi uma ngabe ungakabhadali ku declaim le data usita ngayo. And then also ima incidents ngicela asheshe a report so that usheshe ngene
time frame
process. Typically kuba 14 days kithi. Uma ngabe sewucela lo 14 days bese sesiyacela vele ukuthi usibhalele usho lo ma reasons ukuthi why, because vele sometimes labanye khanga ukuthi baphishanike laba sakhona or maybe sewulimele usesibhedlela awukhoni lo kusheshe u report, but it's fine akusho ukuthi neke claim yakho i-attend but ayi-attend sengilo reasoning, but nje we employ ma clients ukuthi asheshe a report ema incidences.
Okay, so lastly, before I let you go, your contact details. Are you guys interactive on social media and my clients, and how can they reach you?
Yes, we are available on social media. On Twitter sikhona, ku Facebook sikhona, bo YouTube nakhona ngasibukela. Also, meaning based la eMbabane, but I do go around the country to visit my clients. On top of that, my branches are corner. You can always go in there to get that assistance. Alternatively, ungasishayela help desk wethu at 32 78 1999. Nama's email at helpdesk@nedbank.co.za.
All right, thank you so much. Hope Nivile, potential clients of Nedbank Eswatini. There you have it. But if you have more information or you want to ask more information or questions, do contact them on their social media platforms. Also visit Service Center Abo Mage Emma branches Abo countrywide with a car insurance. Let's take a break, so we are going to match. Welcome back to the program. Private sector development expert Zizwe Vilane emphasizes the need for reform in small and medium enterprise law to promote the growth of these businesses. Vilane, who is also a business expert, was reacting to the newly launched National Financial Inclusion Strategy by the Ministry of Finance.
Development of SMMEs takes a number of issues, which I think the report has done well in recognizing. In terms of saying, one, we speak of an entrepreneurship ecosystem. When we talk of an entrepreneurship ecosystem, we speak of 7 pillars that we believe should be in place for the development of an MSME. And this is access to finance, human capital development. It speaks to the education systems available in the country, markets and value chains, the issues of entrepreneurial culture within the Banfu, innovation and infrastructure, amongst others. So we need to make sure that we are holistically addressing all these 7 ecosystem pillars for us to effectively develop SMMEs. Access to finance is but just one of the pillars. So my view is we should be cautious as we move forward. The report speaks about, for example, the development of a collateral registry system and data collection systems. So, because what is crucial for the banking system is having what we call a 360-degree view of a consumer. which means if a customer comes through the bank to borrow money, I need to see how you pay your water, your electricity, and not just rely on ITC, which looks at only one side of your behavior with money. So we need to expand that. And amongst that, it's also the development of a national credit bureau. The whole country, we do not have a credit bureau. Our information is sitting with ITC in South Africa. And that is why now we have a new act in the country under ESICOM, which speaks to data protection, where now companies are expected to pay for this information, but also to make sure that data, Yamaswati, remains in Eswatini or is handled properly. So for us, really, we're saying, as we move forward around accessing finance, we should be cautious. Why are we saying there should be caution? The report also speaks about opening up or commercializing of Eswatini nation land to allow for a Maswati to use it as collateral in the event that they want to raise finance. This is one of the challenges, we agree, that SMMEs face, access to finance and basically the security that banks require for such finance. But the question now becomes, are we ready to open Eswatini nation land to allow for a Maswati to use that as collateral in the financial systems? And what happens in the event that business person fails in that undertaking? Will we now see a lot of Maswati losing their homesteads to financial institutions because they failed to service their debt? And the history that we sit with does not give us any comfort. If we look at the current payment or behavior of our SMMEs with regards to debt servicing, it is very weak.
Yeah, it looks like the overarching concern there from business expert Zizwe Vilane is that we just should be cautious with the development of this financial inclusion strategy. Let's welcome our esteemed journalist in business journalism, my colleague Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla, to help us, really, dissect the sentiments of Zizwe Vilane. A lot of caution from Zizwe Vilane, of course, heading to this new development of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy. I want to hear from your perspective how you believe it is going to impact SMEs in the country.
Thank you so much, Fiso. Ngivusele nembukeli we-Nedbank Business Watch. Ngidawuqala nje ngekuthi ama-SMEs amqoka kakhulu eveni because they are the priority drivers to employment, to economic growth as well as innovation. Nasibuka nje la eveni leSwatini, according to the Center for Financial Inclusion, we have ama-SMEs la employ about 92,000, over 92,000 Maswati, of which over 44,000 permanent. Lawo ma-SMEs lawo ngekusho kwe-Center for Financial Inclusion monthly i-turnover yawo ilakbo 1.2 billion emalangeni. So SMEs are very important. So le strategy lesi nangisibuka siyachaza kwekuthi ama-SMEs ala eveni sekufanele ukuthi kubukwe indlela yekuthi how do they access credit, how do they access ama-finances, tindzaba tabo collateral dona, baqinisekisa kanjani ukuthi bangadingeki ukuthi bafake i-collateral leningi. So SMEs, they will truly benefit from this strategy lesisukunyiswe nguyehulumende. And
I'm sure you will agree with me, it would be very, very remiss of us to speak about SMEs and not speak about the Ministry of the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade. Government has been emphasizing over the years the need for multi-sectoral approaches, and I'm happy that the Ministry of Finance is doing what it can to make sure that there's the ecosystem with their relationship with the Ministry of Commerce is there and it is sustainable and efficient. What are some reforms or laws that they can co-opt together in making sure that SMEs in the country thrive indeed?
Lokumqoka kakhulu yindzaba yayo i-financing. Luckily I got hold of the director of SME, Mr. Mluleki Dlamini. Bengithi ngiyamcela ukuthi vela ngala e-studio. Unfortunately umflomzala washo ukuthi ubusy. But it's the collaboration between the two ministries in order to ensure ukuthi financial and non-financial institutions ayakhona ukuthi labo somabhizinisi ababoleke leti mali with maybe minimal collateral. Nekwekuthi ke lenye indzaba lekhona ngiyo indzaba yokuthi litiko laka Commerce, Industry and Trade liyilungise vele lemithetho lena la kakhuluma ngayo kakhulu business expert babezizwe Vilane. Sibonile ke litiko ukuthi i-MSME policy is being reviewed lena ya 2018 to 2023 lebeyiphela eminyakeni lophelile. Siyayibona ukuthi khona i-Citizen Economic Empowerment Bill lebuka kakhulu ukuthi nyalo noma ngabe ungusomabhizinisi loqhamuka kulamanye emave nangabe nje ungena even leSwatini sekufanele ukuthi uqinisekise ukuthi you collaborate with SMEs alapha eveni in order to ensure ukuthi they benefit from whatever big project that you are going to do. Another thing, the marginalized group, masingakhumbula kahle, His Majesty also mentioned ukuthi litiko la kaKhomesa selibuke ukuthi how are they going to ensure ukuthi the marginalized groups now bayangena like the business. The Citizen Economic Empowerment Bill, iqinisekisa kona ukuthi bomake bamflabasha nalabo labanemabhizinisi lamancane bayakhona ukuthi bangene nabo basebende uma ngabe nje uyinkampani lenkulu. Now you will be required to allocate a certain percentage of lo msebenzi lo wendako to these groups, to lamabhizinisi lamancane.
Yeah, certainly the Citizens Economic Empowerment Bill couldn't have come at a more opportune time for the economy of Eswatini. Let's listen to expert Zizwe Vilane on more.
The basic advice there is one, learn the business you want to engage in, understand the sector you want to invest in. 2, find champions, find mentors, find people you look up to, role models who are in that same space who can pull you up. One of the biggest challenges that we always speak about when it comes to MSME development is the difficulty of developing startups. Most of the time you fail. So what we have seen working best is when you want to develop startups, we find those companies that are already established and are already in business to then bring these ones up. For example, your outgrower schemes, where you take an established farmer and you bring new farmers under him and you're saying, please assist them and make sure they produce to your quality and can supply the market efficiently. Those systems tend to work. So find that mentor or that person who is already in business to handhold you. But also, you need to build a culture. I think that is where Eswatini, as a nation, we need to invest in. The culture of investment, of savings. They always say, for you to invest, you need to save. You can't invest without having savings. And banks do not fund startups. For me, I always say, if you start a business, typically the first sources of finance for any startup is family, friends, and those typically are people who will come in and give you money, hoping it will come back. Most of the time, you tend to lose when you work in that space. But if you create an ecosystem that supports entrepreneurship holistically, making sure that we address all the 7 economic entrepreneurship ecosystem pillars, then we'll definitely develop a vibrant ecosystem in the country.
Right, business expert Zizwe Vilane on more of this particular development that we're discussing with Nelsiwe. Nelsiwe, I want us to talk about the importance of effective collaboration between the private sector and, of course, speaking about a lot of SMEs under the private sector with government. And I'm asking because over a week ago we had Business Eswatini, Mr. Inathi Dlamini, speaking about the fact that SMEs should make sure that they have a piece of the pie in whatever is happening with regards to, regional trade as well as local trade. In the collaboration between government as well as the private sector.
Thank you so much, Sviso. Imqoka kakhulu le collaboration because uma ngabe hulumende nawe ma SMEs babambisene. I'll make an example. Begune seminar lapha ka Business Eswatini noma ke ingxoxiswano lapho khona bekukhulunywa khona ngekweukuthi engabe vele isalaphi kubo somabhizinisi. Lokunye ngikwe ukuthi mhlawumbe nathi tikhwama la kanato hulumende letahlukene. We've seen Taiwan uNeskhwama, we've seen bo loan guarantee scheme, we've seen bo regional development fund and everything. Ukhanza ukuthi labo somabhizinisi isikhathi lesiningi bayakhala but abati kahle lokuthi leti noma ngabe hulumende uphumile out there uyakhuluma ngaleti khwama but abatati kahle, which is something they acknowledged itolo ukuthi kulesinye isikhathi we shoot ourselves in the foot because khulumende uyakhuluma ngato letinfo but asikhona ithini ukuthi silanzelele lokunye labakushoko ukuthi access to finance, access to credit, sebakhulume ngayo kakhulu ukuthi asikhona ukufinyelela etimalini, asikhona ukufinyelela etimalini, but lokunye lokubavimbelako ngikindzaba yokuthi bayafika bayiboleke le mali ukhanze ukuthi abasayibiseli bese lokho eroda le confidence kenyalo kulama financial institutions bangasaniketeki le mali. So in as much as hulumende anato leti khwama abaniketa imali, nayo i private sector phela bosomabhizinisi labancane abayibisele imali ito revolver ngemva kusitakale
And this is why also I introduce you as our esteemed business journalist for those valuable insights that you continue to share with myself as well as the viewer. Let's go for a net break. We connect with Nozibusiso Dembe, Treasury Dealer from Nedbank Eswatini, to look at today's financial markets.
Transact with Nedbank and stand a chance to win a 5,000 Emalangeni trolley dash. To qualify, do any of the following. Tap or swipe your Nedbank card for purchases a minimum number of 10 times in 2 weeks. Or send cash to any local cell phone number a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. Or withdraw cash using Nedbank Cashback at Till at any OK Foods outlet a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. It could be you, so start today. For more information, please visit netbank.co.nz, call or send us an email. See money differently. Nedbank.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007*3*7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewers' TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Nedbank Business Watch. This is the final segment of the program. We are now joined by Treasury Dealer at Nedbank Eswatini, Nozibusiso Dembe. We want to take a look at financial markets today, especially because elections are ongoing in South Africa. Nozibusiso, thank you for joining us this afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. So what data can we expect to affect the markets today? In fact, the whole week, because as I've just mentioned, elections are ongoing in South Africa.
Okay, so in terms of currencies, what we're expecting or anticipating for the next few weeks is the local elections. So South Africans are voting today. They're holding the 2024 general elections. So we expect that the market will react to that once we start seeing results of that. So at the moment, the US dollar against the SZL is trading at 18.2599. The euro against the SZL is trading at 19.8100, and the pound against the SZL is trading at 23.2833. Another thing we're expecting tomorrow is an interest rate decision from the SARB, but really the expectation there is that the interest rates will remain unchanged.
Okay, so we can expect changes, yes, until the whole week in
probably the whole week going
because
into,
today's a holiday.
Yes.
Okay, so
today they're voting, so probably the whole week going into next week we can start seeing changes.
Okay, so I see the dollar can still is still at 18 amalai the whole week, in fact, since Monday. What does that mean?
So
is that good news?
I mean, it's good news depending on what you're doing. If you are importing, then this is a really good time to import because the rate is quite low. I think we've seen the dollar or the rand hold quite steady over the past few days, with really marginal strengthening. So if you have something to import, this is probably a good time for that.
Good time. All right, so let's get into commodities. I want us to talk about gold price this week. In fact, this afternoon. How is it trading?
So at the moment, gold is currently trading at $2,344.52 per ounce. And on the gold side, we saw the price of gold decrease quite a bit last week after the US Fed released its latest meeting minutes. And in the minutes, it indicated that the Fed officials seemed to feel like there is still faith in disinflation, despite market doubts. And also, the minutes revealed that there was a discussion about interest rate hikes.
All right, so I'm sorry to interrupt you, Inozi. We just need to take a quick ad break. Sabu Economach.
Transact with Nedbank and stand a chance to win a 5,000 Emalangeni trolley dash. To qualify, do any of the following. Tap or swipe your Nedbank card for purchases a minimum number of 10 times in 2 weeks. Or send cash to any local cell phone number a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. Or withdraw cash using Nedbank cashback at till at any OK Foods outlet a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. It could be you, so start today. For more information, please visit netbank.co.nz, call or send us an email. See money differently. Nedbank.
All right, welcome back. Apologies for that, Nozi. Before we were interrupted by this technical error, you were still explaining on gold price today.
Yes, so in terms of gold, it's currently trading at $2,344.52 per ounce. And we saw gold lose its value a little bit last week after the meeting minutes from a Fed meeting were released, indicating that the Fed officials have faith that have faith in disinflation despite market doubts. And also, there was also a discussion about potential interest rate hikes. On the Brent crude side, Brent crude has held quite steady over the past couple of days. We'll see what happens after an OPEC meeting, which will be held on the 2nd of June, where they'll be discussing whether they should continue to hold or to implement the voluntary output cuts that they currently have going on.
In the interest of time, let's move on to equities. As we will see, the S&P 500, how is it trading today? How is it performing?
So the S&P 500 has been performing very well since the beginning of the year, mainly driven by tech companies such as Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft. FTSE 100 saw a bit of a decline due to increasing US bond yields. And on the JSE All Share Index, yesterday closed at 78,576.14. And it's seen a gradual decrease after an over 1 year high last week. So hopefully we'll see what happens after elections.
Okay, so I guess we'll monitor the figures as elections are ongoing in South Africa. Quite interesting.
Yes.
So we can expect changes in data foreign exchange this week.
That should be interesting to see.
Thank you so much, Nozi, for joining us. It's 2 minutes before 3 o'clock. We close the program with Sfiso.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Yeah, and that is the end of our show today. Thank you so much for staying with us. You have been watching Business Watch, powered by Nedbank Eswatini, from myself, Sfiso Ngumalo, and Lungelele Mpombeni. It's a very good afternoon to you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening. Bye-bye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.